on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
Yellow.
Right. Good morning to the West Coast. Good afternoon to the East Coast. This is the Reprint presented by Lenox Parker. I am Editor-in-Chief Crystal Jordan Jennings here with, of course, publisher
Victor Flavius. What's happening, Crystal? How you doing?
Woo! Happy Hump Day. Happy Hump Day.
Yes. It is. It is Hump Day for us. Yeah.
In the middle of the week. Yes, in the middle of the week. We are pushing through. I am excited to be eventually moving through Friday, going on vacation on Friday, trying to get everything together. And you know what? It's interesting because, you know what? There's nothing I've learned that you cannot make everyone happy, right? You cannot. Yeah. There's nothing you can do to make everyone happy. And so I think that one of the things that I am trying to learn to do that I will share in a very honest, just transparency with you, with the viewers here. We know that we love our family here on the Reprint, and that is that you can do the best that you can, pray about it, and just know that that God honors that, and everything will work out. I literally have always felt like I've been a person that likes to make everybody happy and tries to kind of cater to my family and my friends and my children. It's just, you know, and sometimes you realize that you can be trying to do everything you can and someone is still going to assume that it's not enough, and you just have to be okay with that and know that taking care of yourself first is the most important thing, and after that allow God to put it all together. So I say that in the midst of trying to juggle a lot of different things and probably dropping quite a few of them. But I'm excited to be here as we've made this commitment and really think it's important what we're doing here on the Reprint. So just wanted to kind of share that.
That sounds like me. I'm the same way. I'm a people pleaser person type of person. And yeah, you got to take time out for yourself. You got to recalibrate. You got to, you know, do all you could do, 1,000%. Pray about it, the second part of it, and then let God do the rest. That's all you could do.
Yeah.
That's it. We can't do nothing else. You know what I'm saying?
That's all
we can move. If we can move mountains and become billionaires, we will do that tonight.
Right. If I could get a clone and clone Crystal, but then it wouldn't be the same. So, you know, you do the best you can and let the chips fall where they may. And I do think for myself, I am really looking forward to kind of getting away. I am not a person that takes vacation very often. And so, but I realize, especially being married, I would say being married is very different than being single in the perspective of my husband reminds me to take a break. He's just like, enough, you know, enough. And I will say for myself, before I was married, I would not take a break. I would be like trying to figure it all out, trying to please everybody, trying to do everything. And then he was just like, no, at this point, it's just kind of like a mirror to let you know you're doing too much. Slow down. Perspective, right? So I'm thankful for him. I just want to send a thank you out to my husband, Adrian Jennings, who's out at work. He definitely.
Well, let me say this to the audience who don't know Crystal. She is a go-getter. Like when I say a go-getter, she is always doing something. I'm like, Crystal, where are you today? What are you doing? I got this meeting, I got that meeting, I got a meeting, and she has meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and she's like a go-getter. So hats off to you for taking some time off for yourself. It's important to, you know, you give so much, so now you gotta take some time so you can, you know, heal a little bit, refresh yourself, and you know, yeah, it's important.
Yes.
It's all important.
I agree. I appreciate that, and I know you do a good job. I'm sure of making sure that your wife has the same. You have a powerhouse wife as well, and
Yes.
I'm sure. I think that's just something I think men do better than women. I think men compartmentalize better than women when it comes to work-life balance. So shouts out
Well,
to
we
your
have to.
your
I
beautiful
mean, I
wife.
think it's in our DNA. I think it's in our DNA. Like women got their home unlocked, so the house is, taken care of by the wife, and not so much a gender role type of thing. Well, it is, but not so much it is, right? But I feel like it's instilled in us from DNA passed down from mother to mother to mother to mother, and so for men it's the same thing. We work at that's what our father shows us. That's what we know. Society teaches us these things, and so we provide and protect and provide, and so
Hmm.
we have to what's the word you use? We have to separate
Compartmentalize.
the things. We have to put them in different.
Mhm.
Yeah, compartmentalize. Yeah, we have to do those things in order to survive. I mean, we have to, you know. So yeah, we don't talk
Absolutely.
about our feelings enough, which is a societal thing, but we do know how to put stuff in boxes and move stuff around for the family. So it's
Yeah.
part of what we do.
Thank you.
You know.
Edna says
How
it's biblical. It absolutely is.
so what?
Thank you for
Okay.
everyone watching on YouTube. Edna said it is biblical, and people in the chat are saying,
Mm-hmm.
because I actually part of our vacation this week, this for a week, is a cruise that is going to Mexico. And coincidentally,
Oh.
we realized that Mexico is not necessarily the place to go right now. And so I did call the cruise.
Oh.
Thank you, Edna. Thank you, Edna, for checking on me. But we did call the cruise, and it looks like those ports are closed, and we'll just be on the ship. But man,
That's
life
crazy.
comes at you fast.
It sure does. How's the weather over by you? What's going on with the weather in your neck of the woods? Like
Well,
you
it
said in the
is
news.
cold here, but it is not. It is
Yeah.
not. We're not having some of the issues that the East Coast is having here down in the Southeast. It's cold. We
Yeah.
definitely had a cold front come in, but it looks like that storm there on the East Coast is delivering snow, snow, and more snow. New York City is
Look it
definitely
up.
dealing with it. I know we have some listeners. Edna, I believe, is in New York City, but it says this they got more snow today, getting more snow today, and more than 3 feet of snow were dumped yesterday in some areas, especially Rhode Island, with totals surpassing those from the historic blizzard of 1978. Wow, that is
Yeah.
that is wow.
I was there
Oh,
in '78, so I know.
are you serious? So, oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. I was there, and look at that snow. That's crazy.
That
Um,
is, I mean,
I was
it's
there
crazy, but it's
in.
also kind of beautiful though, right?
Listen. It's beautiful to a certain degree, but let me explain something to you. Right, when it comes to snow, I lived in Boston. So those who know, I moved from Boston to California because one of the reasons was because of the snow. Um, I love the East Coast. I grew up on the East Coast my whole life. I'm from the Virgin Islands, and I lived in Boston my whole life. Growing up from there, both places, and then I moved to the West Coast recently. But the thing about the East Coast is, so in '78 I was there, and then in 2014 when I moved back from Atlanta, because I moved Boston, Atlanta, and then yeah, whatever. So in 2014 when we had the blizzard, it was snow on top of snow on top of snow on top of snow. It was a lot of snow. And the thing about the Northeast is when it snows, unlike Georgia, it doesn't snow for like a day or two and then it goes away and then it melts like a week later.
Mhm.
This is snow that piles up, turns to ice, and then you have rain and more snow on top of that. So you would have snow all the way until March, April, sometimes even May, okay? Piled up remnants of snow on the ground. And it gets dirty and brown and it's fluffy and nice at first. This type of this type of weather is more wet snow. Wet
Yeah.
snow tends to stick and build up and build up and build up, and it's heavy, and it's harder to
It gets
clean because
dirty.
once the snow falls, it's pretty at first. You're like, oh, it's pretty, angels everywhere, fluffy snow, dogs playing in the nice. And then once the night hits, it gets cold, the snow
Hmm.
stops falling, the temperatures drop, and it turns down to ice.
Hmm.
So that stuff is stuck on your car, it's stuck on your sidewalks. It takes time. It takes time, and the sun doesn't come out for a minute. I'm telling you, it's nice at first. No, hear me out. It's nice at first, right? Atlanta gets cold and whatever, but at least by let's say March, April, it starts to warm up.
Mhm.
In
Well, you know,
Boston, in New
I
England,
originally,
in New York.
yeah, I originally am from Ohio, so I remember that type of weather. Ohio has that type of snow and like where it's just
I don't know,
inches and
but I don't.
piles and
I
piles.
don't know if it's the same.
It's bad. I trust me,
I,
Ohio,
it's bad,
Ohio, Chicago. Yeah, it's bad. Well, not
but
bad. I mean, it's difficult, and it makes it very difficult. I remember my mom. One of my favorite memories when I was little was my mom put my brother and I on a sled and taking us to the
mhm.
store on a sled because you couldn't, cars couldn't get down the street. It was just too much snow. You put
Oh,
the snowsuit on where you can't really look
mhm.
around. You locked in, and then she would pull us on a sled. So I didn't. I was there for a short period of time, but I definitely Ohio is definitely has that type of snow. But this winter weather, it causes canceled flights, disrupted transit, power outages, and it was tied to at least one death from
Mm.
carbon monoxide poisoning related to snow cover conditions. That's shock. I did not expect that. But I know
Yeah,
whenever there's weather like that, it can cause issues, specifically with power outages. The ice gets on those power lines and does a number to the trees fall. It causes a lot of issues. So we're sending uh, warm prayer and vibes to our
it's a
family.
warm prayer.
Prayers, yeah, I meant warm vibes, but yes, prayers for warmth. Yes, prayers for warmth to everyone in
Yes,
New York and on the East Coast dealing with that, Rhode Island, all of that. That they would get a little
yeah,
bit of
it's
a
serious
break.
out there. Yeah, this
Yeah.
weather's no joke. I mean, but the thing about it is, being up there, I was gonna say that people deal with seasonal depression a lot. I dealt with it for a minute because, you anticipate winter to be in from November-ish, December, all the way through at least March. But sometimes, in most cases, I've witnessed over the years, not so much snow, but the cold doesn't end until April, May, like towards the end of May.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember one time, one Father's Day, experienced 34-degree weather in June. And you don't expect to have 34-degree weather in June. So, it gets bad. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers. Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts
Yeah,
and
it's
prayers. I
crazy.
think I think your perspective is even worse because of being originally from the Virgin Islands. Everybody that I know that's from the
Oh, yeah.
islands, they just do not do well in the cold. Even the
No,
islands are
no.
worse than people from the South. My husband is from South Carolina, and he does not do well with the snow. Friends that are from the South, but the islands, you guys really are just like, what is this? Like, what is this?
I
Because
mean, I
there's
had
always,
experience growing up. Yeah.
yeah,
I had the
yeah,
experience when I was growing up. So I lived in Boston back and forth my whole life. So I had the experience of being in the warm and then the cold, the warm. But when you get blizzard weather and you can't go outside and you're trapped indoors and power outage happens, and it's one thing to be in the hot in the south and you're in the heat and you can you can jump in the water to cool off or you can take off clothes. But when it gets cold, you can put on layers on top of layers on top of layers on top of layers.
it's
You're still gonna be
warm.
cold. Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
You're
I
laughing.
it's just
It's
funny.
true.
Well, because it's funny to me how people from like I said, the islands, my friends from the islands are all the same. They're like, nah, this is not it. This is not it. But
No.
I mean, this is extreme. This is extreme. New York City spread 143 million pounds of salt. My
Yeah.
God. It's a lot of snow.
People.
I've never even, I mean, 143 million pounds of
Yeah.
snow.
Which will end up in your
But
car
yeah.
after a while. Yeah.
Yeah. End up messing up
Yeah.
your cars. It's rough.
Rust and yeah.
Um, on from the snow, I think probably most people are aware. Uh, the 2026 State of the Union address was last night with President Trump. He delivered a record length State of the Union address. It was 108 minutes. 108 minutes. I
Why?
had a meeting
Why?
last night. I came in and my mom was watching it, and it was still on. I thought that I was gonna miss it, but it was still on. Um, Trump settled in and just had a lot to say, talking about the economy and immigration and patriotism. I didn't listen to very much. I sat with my mom for a few minutes, and then I just, I will just say, um, we're going to get to the notes from his State of the Union address. I think one of the things that bothered me about this year, it's just been a lot happening politically this year. Obviously, we know, but the division. I don't think we've ever seen the division between the Democrats and Republicans like this. Maybe I just wasn't as tuned in because, with this last
Yeah.
presidency, I've been tuned in a totally different way. Than I think we all are than ever before. But to see the Democrats sitting down, not speak, just the alienation between the two parties is very, very, it's very, very toxic, and it's just not. It doesn't push us forward. I'm going to get into this a little bit later, and I know we have a video to share on our site that I did conversation with Van Jones a while ago. And one of the things that I appreciate about our conversation was that he acknowledged that, in order for there to be success for people, we really have to be able to find areas of bipartisan commonality that we can come together on. And like I said, I know we're going to share some of that later on Lenox and Parker. If you guys want to see that that conversation, it'll be up on Lenox and Parker, and I would definitely suggest people to go and check it out, because we had a really good conversation just about and whether you agree with Van Jones or not, the ability, because we are all the country is just about split in half at this point, right down the middle, and a house divided against itself is going to fall. That's a biblical principle, and it's just a real life common sense principle. So as a house, the United States of America is divided, and in order for us to move forward, regardless of what side you're on, we're going to have to find ways to come together and to find a potential to work with one another. If the Democrats refuse to work with the Republicans, that's not going to work for them or the Republicans. And if the Republicans refuse to work with the Democrats, it's just not going to work. And I feel like we're kind of at a stalemate. And I feel like that was what I witnessed last night. I appreciate in my conversation with Van Jones that he did say, you have to have friends on both sides. I can disagree with, out of 10 things, I can disagree with you on 9. But if I agree with you on one thing, that's progress and that's positivity. And so I would just say that it's important that we don't totally alienate ourselves or refuse to even listen to either side, regardless of what side of this you fall on. It's important to be open. It's important to be educated and informed, because it just, at the end of the day, as they say, the old saying goes, at the end of the day is going to end. And if we don't find an opportunity to work together, it's going to be to the detriment of all of us. That being said, I guess we can jump into what the core themes and claims were from last night's State of the Union address. The economy and cost. Trump claimed a robust economy, failing inflation, lower gas and drug prices, and a broad job growth. I did tune in for that, as he talked about prescription drugs and working against pharmaceutical companies to make sure that drugs were available for, and I hate to say drugs, but so many people have health issues and need drugs to survive, basically. And a lot of them, I've heard personally over the last 2 years more than ever that there are a lot of people that can't afford their medication. That's scary. And so he talks about that. I don't know if his plan is going to, I do know that there's he has the TrumpRx.com where the drugs are supposed to be cheaper. I'm not sure, because I do have insurance, but I do know for people that don't, those opportunities are definitely important. He talked about taking away the monetary um, value from pharmaceutical companies and giving them to the people so they can invest in their own health care. And I wonder what you think about that. Just like if you make their medications cheaper, do you think that people would actually be able to purchase health care? Because to me, it almost feels like we're taking something away from one giant and putting it in the hands of another, because healthcare costs are equally as problematic as medication, costs for drugs and medication. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on the okay. So as far as like what you were speaking on earlier too, I want to touch on both subjects. One, the house. Let's put this into a normal perspective, right? You have a home. You have a father. You have a mother. You have the kids. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Head of house, whatever you want to call it. If the head sets the tone for the entire house. If you go to a
Mm-hmm.
church, the pastor, the head person in the church sets the tone for the entire church. So whatever happens in that church, whatever happens in the home, whatever happens in that organization, is the head. He's the president. He's the CEO of the corporation of the United States of America. United States of
Mm-hmm.
America, not the land, not North America. The United States of America is the corporation entity that sits on North America. So the government, which he's the president of the corporation, which is a business entity, sets the
Mm-hmm.
tone for the country. So we saw when Barack Obama was president of the corporation, he played on both sides. He had Joe Biden, who was a seasoned vet in the game for 20, 30 years as a congressperson and senator, knew who to talk to. It's all about who you know and getting deals done behind closed doors when people can't see you. Joe Biden was that man for Obama. So Obama came in with his charismatic personality, loving personality, kind personality, however you want to call it. Even if he was shrewd behind the scenes, we didn't see that, but we saw him in the public. And in the public perception, he was a great, charismatic, loving guy. And he
Mm-hmm.
knew how to say the right things, how to smile in the right places, how to shake hands, and how to respectfully treat people. We see this
Mm-hmm.
president who does not play ball with anyone. He doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't want to hear what you have to say. One minute you're nice to him, next minute he hates you, next minute you're a piece of garbage. And then you have his vice president fall in suit. So right there, the president himself does not want to deal business with anyone. He wants to say, "This is it's my way or the highway." So even if you have a two-party system, my way or the highway is not going to do it. Also, we see a president who does not listen to Congress or anyone else. He just does what he wants to do. He has his own
Mm-hmm.
platform, which we talk about, his own social media platform. He doesn't go through the what do you call it, the normal channels, which is using the White House letterhead and dealing with the professional way of doing stuff. He goes straight to business as usual. I'll do it and we'll straighten it out in court. That's what businessmen do. I'll do what I want to do, and I'll pay the fines later because I have the money to pay the fines, and I'll get what I want done. So he's not listening to Congress at all. He's not listening to anybody. So you never heard of Barack Obama in public say these people are crazy. Like these Republicans, they're crazy. They're stupid. And he did that last night. Going to what you were saying. So that part was done. Like we're divided because the head divided us. Because the head made it a point to divide us.
The body
Going
follows the
into
head.
yeah, going into healthcare. So let's look at healthcare. People have to understand there's two sides. So there's Medicaid and there's Medicare. They always demonize the Medicare side of things because they say, oh, more black people are on Medicare and welfare. But we have to
Mm-hmm.
realize in this country there are more people, white people, Caucasian people in this country. Statistically, they say we black community and people of color only make up what 13% of the population. So
Yeah, 14%.
who is getting the bulk of the Medicare and Medicaid is white people.
Excellent.
Okay,
Absolutely.
but then they'll focus on the black community and saying we're on welfare. But the same funds that was funding welfare, the welfare is the same funds that fund Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what that hissing is. And so, if you think about it, the more people, there are more people on Social Security than on welfare because there are more older white people in the country. It's just a fact, right?
That's
So,
true. That's
when it comes down to healthcare, who is going to need healthcare more because of the community that's older and growing population? White folks.
true.
So
Hmm.
it comes down to that situation. I don't really look at the who does better or what Obamacare because it's all government funded. It's all it, you know two heads of the same coin. So I don't really look at that per se because they'll rob from Paul and give to Pete in one thing. They'll take away over here and then they'll move it over here and say, "Oh look, I'm giving you something,"
Hmm.
but Edna disagrees with me. Okay, Edna, I hear you, but it there's a lot to clean up in the White House, but the way how
Hmm.
you do business is just not the way how we need to be done. People don't have jobs. People are losing jobs left and right. Okay, businesses aren't making money. These tariffs that he have set that he talks about doing, it we pay the taxes on tariffs, and you know the government sets these tariffs to other countries. They send the stuff in, and then what companies do is they raise the prices, and we pay the difference on that. And that's not going
Hmm.
to change right now. Actually, right now there's a lawsuit over 1,000 companies in 1,000 organizations on companies in America right now suing the Trump organization for the tariffs that was done because it's illegal. The Constitution and also the not Constitution, the Supreme Court said it was illegal to do the tariffs. So now it's all going to be reversed. But what's going to happen is the damage is already done. Tariffs are already
Yeah.
set. They took away the tariff situation. Businesses aren't going to go back to the old prices. They're going to keep those prices the same. So if you were paying $3 for a gallon of milk last month, or $3.50 for milk last month, now milk is $4.50. They're not going to go back on $3.50 because of tariffs change. No, they're going to keep the prices. So the damage has already been done. He is just,
Well, I think that well,
yeah.
for milk, we're not going to have tariffs on milk because that's produced here. But I see what you're saying, and I definitely understand and agree with the difference between Obama and Trump. But I think there's been differences between all the presidents. I mean, when Bush was in office, we were very livid, which is why Obama got in office. And I think from Obama getting in office, that's a lot of people were livid. A lot of people didn't feel like he did a good job, even though we did. Um, a lot of people felt like were very unhappy with him. So I think it is a, like I said, it's we can go back and forth on um, preferences and personality, right? Trump is definitely a different personality than we have ever had as president of the United States. We can all probably agree with that. He would agree with that. He, stood on the fact that he was not a politician. I also think that there's always been corruption. I think we're just now at where things are ahead, and the problem is that again, if you are if you're complaining about your leader, I'm not saying that we have to agree with him, but I am saying that at some point we have to find a way to stop fighting. There's just too much infighting on both sides, and that it's not going to benefit the people. So I think that there's a lot of us that are, and I say us, I'm just talking about the country, that are focused more on Trump than on what's what is happening in the country, and a lot of people on the other side are focused on what the Democrats are saying. And it's just, there has to be some type of common ground so that people are able to move forward. Some of this is just distraction from other things that are going on. Foreign policy and security, that is a huge issue right now. Also, the immigration and crime. Obviously, ICE was a big part of the conversation on both sides, from Trump's perspective and the Republicans' perspective. He emphasized stricter border enforcement and a war on fraud in federal programs and elections. He also condemned Iran's nuclear ambitions, touted peace deals and military strength, and signaled willingness to act aggressively if needed, which we the address also contained patriotic traits, which that that's in every address. You see here the sign "Black people aren't apes." Trump spoke about loving America and being a president that has done more for the American people than ever. And the Democrats obviously, are going to push back to that. I do think the Black people aren't apes was in response to the meme that was posted that he posted on his Twitter account, showing former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as apes. This is just, I don't know, man. It's disappointing. I feel like as a media outlet, our goal is to be bipartisan and to speak to both sides. And there's just so much
Well,
vitriol. It's very difficult to do that.
I do agree. As I'm reading some of Edna's comments here. Yeah, he honored our military, which is excellent. But it's a little bit more than that. It's all a lot of this stuff is performative. Um, I don't have to turn on the State of the Union address to see what's happening in my country. Social media that we're tapped into, the daily news, the people on the street, my community. I can see what's happening around the state and in the states. When I talk to my mom and dad, when I talk to my brothers and sisters, when I talk to my cousins, when I talk to people from church, people at work, community people, I see what's happening. I see what the price of gas is. He said that the price of gas is now below 230. Not in this state, not in Georgia, not in any state that I know of. Gas is not under 230. So that was not a real statement. You might find a gas station or two here in the country might have a low-paying gas pump, maybe in Mississippi, or maybe in certain southern states because the cost of living is a whole lot lower, and they also make a whole lot less money in the country in that state. But for the most part, gas is above 230 and 250 in most states. Inflation has not gone down; that's still up. There's a lot that happens. Again, I'm not going to put everything on the president, but he does set the tone. He does set the tone for the most part. He said he's not going to go to war, and if you, this is facts. This is not me saying it out of me just hating Trump or Republicans or even Democrats. But if you look at the historical fact in the last, in my lifetime, let me put it that way, in my lifetime, every Republican president we've had have gone to war. Let that marinate for a minute. Because I was in high school. I was in high school when we had the Kuwait War. That was Bush. We didn't have no war under Clinton. We went to war again when we had Bush Jr. Nothing under Barack Obama. And now we're about to go to war again with Iran and Venezuela. So every Republican president comes in and does what. Now, again, Democrats have their bad side too, but like you said, it has to be something place where we can all come across and talk, and it had the president have to set the tone in the country so we can all come together and talk. If you skip over the powers that be, if you disrespect a person, there's a chain of command when it comes to organizations. Anybody would agree. You go to a job, they tell you if you have a problem, go see your manager. If your manager can't deal with it, go see the person above the manager. There's a chain of command. You don't just go straight to the president of the top. There's a chain of command when it comes down to doing law in this country. You have to go through Congress and Senate. There's a chain of command when it comes to criminal stuff, the DOJ. But when you don't care about those things and you do whatever you want to do and you say they're all corrupt and you blah, 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 and you find out that these things aren't true, then again, you can look at the people around you and you can see what's actually happening. I'm not blaming anyone, but let me say it like this. If the shoe fit, wear it. And no, it's true. Like I'm not gonna call just to use this loosely in a type of way. People were saying stuff about Sean Combs, Diddy, right? About how his case with Cassie was blah, 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 and all sort of stuff. I said, you know what? Let's not talk about his case with Cassie. Let's look at his catalog of his artists, the people who's been around. Trump is the same way, and I'm not saying anything like that people don't already know. I don't know nothing about Trump personally, but from what I've heard back in the day when he was from since back when he was doing the Apprentice, he didn't pay his plumber, he didn't pay this person, he did this, he did that, all these different things he was doing back then. So everybody can't be lying. I mean, you can't have everybody saying stuff about you and be a lie. Doesn't make sense.
Well,
You know, so his
the
character.
problem
I'm talking character. I'm talking about character.
yeah,
And
but I'm saying the problem with that though, Victor, is that
mm,
just I'm just being keeping it on both sides. There until he ran
okay,
for president, at least in the African American culture, he was very, and I'm not defending. I'm just can't like saying we have to be honest. We have to keep things neutral.
right,
If you're talking about character and his past, people didn't have a problem with Trump until he became president of the United States. No one thought he was racist. They thought he liked to hang out with, Diddy and Will Smith and Oprah and all these different people. The problem
right.
came at the point that he was running for president and doing things different. I don't. So I think we have to be very careful when we're talking about because on a
I'm talking
large
about his
scale, a lot
character.
of
I'm talking to his
but I'm
character.
just saying. But I'm saying a lot of people didn't have it. You don't know his. Well, we do know his character because of what he's doing now. But a lot of people were okay with it as long as it was fitting what they wanted. And there are a lot of people that are not saying anything. What I would say is that I would want to focus less on Trump's personal character, and because there's a lot of people that are in power and in powerful positions that I probably would not be in agreement with their character, right? That's true. That's like
Right,
president of, someone in several people in leadership have been fired from their positions for being a part of the Epstein files, people that we didn't even know. There was a college administrator that was let go in Georgia here a couple of days ago because of having a underage. I don't know people's personal character, so I
right.
could not say that the one party has better character than the other. What I will say is that as a group and as a community, African Americans, we need to make sure that we are not just looking at one party as our savior. I have a personal problem when people say, well, I just, that feel like if you're Black, if you're African American, if you're a person of color, you should automatically have an alliance and allegiance to the Democratic Party. I think you should listen to each platform, not the person, because I would guarantee that for most of us, most politicians on both sides are doing corrupt things that we would not be in agreement with. I don't think it's all on, I know it's not on one side because I can
I
say
agree.
for a fact, I have worked on both sides. There's issues on both sides. And usually the issues are very consistent. It's the
Agreed.
same thing in a different hat. But what I do think is that for a long time, the African Americans in this country are often used as pawns against, we are used on both sides. And I feel that bothers me when I hear Republicans say things that are designed to emotionally stimulate or trigger us to do certain things. That bothers me. And the same thing when I see Democrats say things that are designed to trigger us. And I think that we are constantly used as pawns. They pick our community up when they want to get votes. And as soon as they get the votes, they put us down. So I am of the mindset that we need to listen very, very intently to both sides and to see what is actually going on and what is actually benefiting you and where you are in alignment with, and vote there, but also realize that everything is not as it seems often. But I have a problem with people assuming because I am a certain color or gender that I can't listen for myself and figure out what's going on. And to Ben Jones' point, when we were having that conversation, I can disagree with 9 things, but if I agree on one, I am able to say that. I can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater because I feel like that is when you're not, being intelligent and you're not working to your benefit. I think for many, many years and many decades, African Americans have been very, very loyal to the Democratic Party, and I don't know that that has benefited us. I don't think that either party is truly going to benefit us until we start looking at things from the perspective of what we need and what we want, and requiring both sides to take our issues to heart beyond election season. So I would,
Uh,
I just don't want to. I don't think that it benefits us as a media outlet to just constantly like pound down one side, even though
well,
things can be. That's not really our place to inform and allow people to make their own decisions.
yeah, I agree. I wasn't when I was talking about his character, I'm basing not upon him being president, but the from this is me personally, from me knowing about him, looking at of me being aware of who he is as a person, from the time he started, from the time I've known him, known about him in Miss America pageants, the stuff with the TV show he had, The Apprentice, and then of course becoming president and his affiliations, and the fact that he took up paper with for the the five guys in New York, the Central Park Five. He put something in the paper about them, calling, during Barack Obama's term of president, he was saying all these things about Barack Obama not being a citizen and all this, whatever the case is. I'm not attacking him as a person because I don't know him, but I'm saying just looking at the over the course of the last 20 years of hearing about his character and what he's done, I'm saying to me, just in what he is, and let me say it like this: you can disagree with somebody, but you can still respect them as a person. As far as like you can have a respect for people, have respect for people in general. I might not like a person. I might not say, you know what, I don't agree, like you said, I don't agree with Democratic or Republican issues, but I can respect a person who's a Republican. I can respect a person who's Democrat. I can respect, what I'm saying, to that degree. And so that's how I base myself on, and you just have to give people respect, period, wherever you go. You can't be calling people out their names or telling people, they come from shithole countries and, all this stuff, and so I just don't like that part about the situation. If you're going to become president, for all people, be for all people. Don't just say the Somalians are the one doing all the bad stuff or the Haitians are, but then you have the Russians over here, or you know what I'm saying? So I just I think it's just unfair that people, don't look at it from that perspective. I don't care about the celebrity Trump because he's been a celebrity and he's a public figure. So we could, he is in the public's eye for us to say yay or nay versus president or non-president or what he was doing before, just like R. Kelly, just like Sean Combs, just like Harvey Weinstein. All these guys are public figures, and so what we learn later on about them is what we learn. We didn't make up those things about him. We didn't, put everything through. We didn't, and it's not. And so my thing is, it's not just one aspect of it. There's a celebrity side. There's the political side. There's the financial side. There's the relationship side. There's so many different facets to this one person that we're seeing play out in the media. And all we could do as a media brand is look at the facts and say, okay, here are the facts. We present them to you, and this is what we see. I don't know him personally, so I can't say if he's bad or good. He could be good to a lot of black people, and he could be bad to a lot of black people. I don't know, but all I know is what I see in the media, and that's all I could judge this based upon. You know what I'm saying? So it's.
And I think that what we're seeing in our country is that the media are very biased on both sides, on all sides. You know what I mean? So I think we are trying to present a media outlet that is not a part of that. But this is all very much. I mean, I think it's important for us to have these type of conversations so that we can, this is important. And it's done from a Black perspective. So obviously, the Democrats of the Union rebuttal immediately after Trump's State of the Union address, in a Democratic rebuttal to President Donald Trump's State of the Union earlier in that evening, Abigail Spanberger sharply questioned Trump's portrayal of the nation being in a golden age, saying that many Americans still face high costs and economic struggles more than a year into his second term. His second term is interesting. It's weird to say second term because he had a break. He did one. I guess there's been another president that's done that, but we've never seen in our lifetime where someone's president and they're not president, then they come back and they're president again. Speaking from Colonial Williamsburg, Spanberger framed her remarks around direct questions to the American people about affordability, safety, and whether Trump's leadership is working for ordinary families. She accused the president of enriching himself and his allies, dividing the nation, and undemning civil liberties, emphasizing that the Democrats are focused on lowering costs and holding leaders accountable in the lead up to midterm elections. This is all. It's going to get a lot more divided as we look towards midterm elections. And I just think we just have to hold on and make sure that you are informed, make sure that you listen to things on a national level. But then also, I think the real differences in our communities for some of the things that we're concerned about with inflation costs, taxes always are an issue. Healthcare is always an issue. Education is always an issue. Make sure that you are involved on your local level. That's what I think that's the best thing. I think the national level can be a bit distracting and overwhelming sometimes, difficult to digest. But I think if we are involved in our local level, we can be a part of actually impacting the lives of our families and our friends and our communities. And so I would just suggest that we, try to do that. I do think that we pay attention on a national level, but your real work is always done in your local elections. Moving on from the State of the Union and the State of the Union rebuttal, the Epstein files. We are not able to get away from the Epstein files. I hope when I come back from vacation, we won't be on the Epstein files, but I doubt that's the case. Justice Department is proving that the DOJ withheld Epstein files involving Trump allegations. An NPR investigation found that the U.S. Department of Justice removed and or withheld portions of the Jeffrey Epstein document release that included material mentioning President Donald Trump. According to the review of serial numbers and internal logs, about 50 plus pages of FBI interviews and investigative notes are tied to a woman who alleged Trump sexually abused her as a minor and were cataloged. These allegations were cataloged but not made public, even though federal law requires broad closure of the files. Okay, and in a separate but related Epstein reporting, CNN obtained text messages from 2019 showing that Albert Bryan Jr., the Democratic governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, offered to assist Jeffrey Epstein with a regulatory dispute on his private Caribbean islands just months before Epstein's 2019 arrest on federal sex trafficking charges. The texts show Epstein seeking help with unauthorized construction and potential fines, and Bryan assuring him that he had spoken with the territory's top environmental official and that the matter would be handled. At one point texting, "We got you," and "For you, absolutely." All I have to say about this is that it's just proof that
corruption,
I believe
everywhere.
It's on both sides, and that's my only response is that it is on both sides. I think that I think that they have us, leadership of this country has us fighting over Democratic and Republican issues, and the real issue is socioeconomic, and the fact of finance dictates a lot of times what people's character is, right? It's about, I have great character as long as I don't have money and access. I have money and access, and all of a sudden, I got you. We're all friends. And I think in the Epstein files, the biggest takeaway for me is that you see a connection between people that are that 1% of affluence as opposed to the rest of us. So from Naomi Campbell to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and President Trump and Diddy and all these different people, Jay-Z, all the names mentioned with the Epstein files are people that are affluent and have nothing to do with the ordinary people that both the State of the Union and the rebuttal of the Union attempted to address. We
Yeah.
don't, we are not involved because we
Nope.
do not have the money and we do not have the access. And so we need to be concerned about the things that are affecting us, as opposed to all that. That is my only feedback
I agree. I agree. I agree on that 100%. We don't have access to a lot of the stuff that they have. That's not our world. Like you said earlier, focus on the local level. Focus on on the guy who picks up your trash, the school superintendent. Focus on the mayor of your city, of the councilman who deals with the electricity and all that type of stuff. Like that's what we need to be putting our time and effort into. The national level to me is a distraction because a lot of times stuff that happens on the national level never really like bothers the daily, day to day stuff. Yeah, we should pay attention to it, but don't put 100% time into that. Like you said, these things happen all the time. What happened with Delbert Bryan in St. Virgin Islands happens on every level in government and in business. You have somebody that has money, and you have somebody that have a position in power, and you say, "Hey, I need to get this done over here," and you make a phone call. Let me call my people, call your people. You've seen TV shows, and it happens. And so I'm not putting anything into that's I can take away from my life. Let me move on with my day to day and focus on my family and how to better my community. What's going to uplift my community? Being a better citizen in this country, not what corruption's happening over there. So we see it again. It's just more noise that we have to deal with in this country.
I agree.
More
I
noise. Yeah.
I agree. Speaking of noise, um, and speaking of feuds, there's Democrats and Republicans, and there is 50 Cent versus T.I. Actually, it appears that there is 50 Cent versus everybody. Um, this is crazy. T.I. and 50 Cent, this feud is escalating, and yesterday a really ugly. Actually, this week is taking a really ugly turn. It just feels like 50 Cent is feuding against everybody. This long smoldering beef between 50 Cent and T.I. It actually just started. I want to give a little context because this is something I've been watching and kind of know a little bit. I know I've worked with T.I. before, worked for worked for him. We was a part of his publicity team when I first started here in Atlanta, and I've also worked with people that are directly affiliated with 50 Cent that are on his initial team. And so we know that there was this the versus situation, versus what became popular during 2020, started by Swiss Beats and Timberland, to basically, it was for the culture, to keep people's energy and just keep people in a good space. Music heals, and so they would have these versus battles. I think the versus battles are actually responsible for this resurgence of appreciation for some of our musicians from the 90s and other eras. It actually was a very positive thing. T.I., there was a lot of different battles, Ja Rule and DMX, and I can't even. It's just so many. It's been so many of them that were fun and positive. Erykah Badu and Jill Scott. I'm summoning ones that was peaceful. Brandy and Monica recently, that was great. And so they couldn't find anyone to do one with T.I. T.I. suggested that the only person that it would make sense for him to do a versus battle was 50 Cent. This was years ago. 50 Cent didn't respond, didn't really want to do it, and we weren't sure why. He didn't really say much back then. T.I. recently, because he has a new single out, he recently brought the conversation back up and said that he was challenging 50 Cent to a versus battle. Now, at the time that he did this, I believe that there was a respect I believe the reason that T.I. even felt like 50 Cent would be his equal is because he had respect for what 50 Cent has been able to do, and he saw them as potential equals. 50 Cent did not agree, and so he didn't really respond. T.I. went out on a limb and kind of, made this official plead to 50 Cent if he wasn't afraid to come and battle him on verses. And instead of doing that, 50 Cent responded negatively. The beef gained traction. This is what caused the beef, actually. With T.I. initially claiming that there was mutual interest. T.I. went on Gillian Wallow's podcast and said that initially he had a conversation with 50 and 50 was with it. He said that he told him he was going to jump out and mention it, and then he was expecting 50 to do the same. Instead, 50 did not. And he shifted the feud into personal territory by posting a photo of T.I.'s wife, Tiny, with the caption that many people saw as disrespectful. This drew a response from King Harris, who is T.I. and Tiny's son, who posted an emotional and inflammatory comments targeting 50 Cent's late mother, moves that pushed the feud deeper into family territory. So I want to say, because not only have I worked for T.I. and with Tiny, but I also years ago have done some children's celebrity events and have worked with King and Major, T.I. and Tiny's other son. So I've known King been around King from the time he was very, very small. He has his father's fire, but he also, I think that any young man that sees someone speak negatively about their mother is going to have a response. So when I watched King's response, which showed a lot of hurt and anger about 50 making fun of his mother, and putting his mother in a disrespectful place. He talked about 50's mother being dead. It was just like he was saying whatever he could to hurt 50. And it was difficult to watch. A lot of people responded by putting up pictures of Tiny and showing her love on social media, which I thought was great. Comedian Lonnie Love did that. Also, Tina Knowles, Beyonce's mother, posted a picture of Tiny and just said that she loved her and she was the sign of femininity. Miss Tina, always, I love her. I feel like she's the mother that speaks up for her daughter because she knows her daughter won't say anything, and I love it. I'm the same way with my little chicken nugget and my son. I'm going to speak up for my
Chicken
babies.
nuggets,
Yeah, that's what I call my daughter, my little chicken nugget. But so Miss Tina speaking out in support of Tiny, I thought was a positive thing. Unfortunately, 50 Cent took an opportunity to involve her in the situation and posted a negative photo of Miss Tina, which I feel like is just, I feel like at this point there's no, 50 Cent does not have he does not recognize boundaries or anything. I've seen something where he said that he has less compassion than the average human, and that is obviously very true. We see someone that has no boundaries or respect for others, but in the same token, it continues to become even more successful materialistically and in his business. It's sad to see because, again, I talked about earlier, the United States with us fighting against each other, but this is all within the Black community and it's the Black entertainment community, and it's unfortunate. I will give kudos to T.I. because he responded with a single titled War, which was it's basically categorized as a diss record, but T.I.'s music reflects how rap beefs often play out, turning personal issues into lyrical content, and I think that is the best way to do it, although I am concerned about this because it's just negative. Even though T.I.'s response was not negative, it was really, he really took an opportunity to show how he has developed and matured. As someone that worked with him when he 20 years ago, a very different T.I. than he was back then. Back then he was a lot more like King than he is today, which I think is great because it shows the maturation process of a man who has put a lot of energy into maturing. And I just want to, give him his flowers for that.
Well, my take on this whole thing, yeah, let me let me slow walk this. One, I don't like it for the culture. I don't think it's necessary. We seen too many beefs come and go. It doesn't help our culture move the needle forward at all. Whether 50 Cent and Tip wanted to do Ti wanted to do a versus Diddy and Jermaine Dupri, Bad Boy versus Social Def was supposed to be a versus thing. That would have been a big thing for the culture. But we've
Hmm.
seen the verses in the last two bouts that they did. No Limit versus Cash Money and what's the DJ's name? The two Hit Boy versus Mike Will, and both of those to me were flops. And I say so respectfully because of the way how it was done. Is somehow they don't have to they haven't gotten it together professionally, like done properly. They just do it. So they got to figure out a format and do it right. But Ti versus 50 Cent, to me, it wouldn't. It would have been great to see them put, go toe to toe on their hit records. But I think um, 50 Cent, one, he doesn't need to do verses. He has so much stuff going on, whether he's rich or not, and Tip is rich or not. Both of them are respectfully millionaires in their own right, so they could move around and do as they please. It's not needed. It's just not like they don't need to do it. It's not like something that they have to do. Like, oh, I need to do this to bring my rep up. No, they those guys are seasoned vets. They're classic. They're what we call in the music industry. When they go on tour. Not classics, but there's a word they use. Not classic.
Headliners.
No, it's another word you use when you have older performers. There's a term. Anyhow, 50 Cent and Ti are both at the end of their rap careers. They, you know, music or not, they're actors, they're producers, they all this stuff. So it would have been equally cool. But I think it went too far on both sides. Me personally, with 50 Cent posting the picture of Tiny, although me and you talked about it earlier, and I did say that it is all, it's, while I think it's disrespectful and I think it's wrong, it's also fair game. Hear me out. It's fair game
Hmm.
because we're talking about three public people. Let's respectfully look at Tiny. Tiny is a respected songwriter. She's a respected
Hmm.
singer. She's a respected performing artist. She's a respected um, uh, actress because she's been on 3 or 4 different type of TV shows. So she is a public figure in the entertainment industry. Ti is the same way too. He's all 4 or 5 of facets that his wife carries. He does the same, and so does 50 Cent. So they're all equally in the industry, are public figures. So when you're a public figure, you have scrutiny that comes to you.
Hmm.
Now, the other side to that is yes, that's Ti's wife, and yes, that's Harris's mom. So they all have equal arguments to make. You went too far with posting her for your own gain, 50, and then he went too far by calling out 50's mom and grandmother on that level, and it just keeps going back and forth. There's no winner here. There's no one's going to win on this level. More a professional route would have been more like cease and desist, defamation of character, legal. That's how 50 Cent gets his victories is in court, kind of like Trump, but same concept. You call me out my name, I'm gonna take you to court. I'm gonna make you suffer. Both sides, 50 Cent and Ti, both have enough information to ruin each other's careers in the sense of stuff that happened in the careers, in their careers. Ti went to court and had the whole gun charges and a whole situation behind him. 50 Cent had a whole bunch of legal issues over the years, so they both have equal footing in this game. Who's gonna win? I don't know. All I know is it does not look good for either side. It's just not a good look for the community, and it's again another distraction. Just
It
to sell
is. And
records or not, it doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't
yeah,
make
I
any
just
sense.
50's not definitely not trying to sell records. I think 50 Cent has become the bully of the industry. It looks like he enjoys that
Yeah.
characterization, and he bullies everybody, men and women, the same. He I just don't like the fact that
how you start is how you end. How you start your career is how you end your career.
that's
How you
true. When you
start in life
started,
is how you end. And that's how I feel.
mm,
Both of them started in the drug game. Both of them started in the rap game. Both of them started in that thing. 50 Cent started out bullying and beefing with people. His
well,
first
not
record
50
was
Cent
that.
didn't start out bullying. He started out being almost murdered. So I
No.
think
His first records was about his first single he put out when he was in the music industry in the single whatever was dissing other rappers, dissing a whole bunch of rappers.
but that was after
P-
that was
Piggyback,
after a lot of right, right. Well, that and how to rock. But I'm just saying
yeah,
he's done other things, but but put being almost unalived by other
yeah. I mean, yeah, sure.
another rapper. I'm just trying to show the context. He is definitely a bully, but I think that turned him into the bully, right? When he came back, it turned him into the bully. Kind of like how when Chris Brown did that, he came back as now I'm gonna be a bad guy. I'm gonna give in and be exactly what you want. But I don't my concern, T.I. I think is good. T.I. is good. Tiny is good. I've worked with
No,
Tiny a lot. Actually,
I've done against Ti. No,
she's actually one of the sweetest people. Ti is actually very authentic, just a good person.
I
50 I
agree.
think
I agree.
is troubled, and I really in all this I feel empathy for him because it's clear that he does not have that he's missing something that is very necessary. And I think that you can get very
Yeah,
successful, but that does not fill holes. And I think his behavior is showing that there's something missing. But I just wish that this would not happen because, like I said, both of them are successful, and it's just it's hard to see. But I don't even think it's really against 50 and Ti. It seems like it's 50 and everybody. 50
yeah.
versus
You're right.
everybody
Yeah,
because
you're right. Yeah.
from Rick Ross to Jim Jones to Cam and to Cam to just 50 is again Ja Rule obviously. 50
Still, yeah.
Jay Z. He just there's no one that he is at in a peaceful place with, um, and I think eventually that's gonna it's gonna play out in a negative way.
Yeah, I don't
So
like that. I don't like it.
I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. But I think we had to talk about it because it's such a big part of pop culture right now. Them going back and forth. I don't even care. I know he doesn't. I know he doesn't like. Obviously, 50 and Diddy's
Hmm.
sons. I mean, he's everybody. 50 versus
Yeah.
everybody at this point. And it's unfortunate, but um, we want to move on to in a positive way to our Black business of the day. Black business
Yeah.
of the day.
Let's do it.
Um total different thing. Our Black business of the day is Tracy Nicole clothing. Tracy Nicole has a clothing line. She has several clothing lines, but I love this one because it is a curated line for women that are working women, professional women. But I think that it's just beautiful. The lines are very beautiful. They celebrate femininity. And she's been around for a while. I've watched Tracy build her business, from the early days of having, one line of dresses and then going on to something that is she has several lines. They're in several department stores. You can go to tracynicole.com or Tracy Nicole Clothing on Instagram, and you will see her. She has a Black Friday markdown going on right now, but this power collection is what we're showing you right now. It is a dynamic blend of bold color and effortless sophistication made for women who lead powerfully in every aspect of life. For the woman who is commanding rooms, leading boldly and unapologetically, owning her presence. These pieces are structured, confident, and designed to make a statement before you ever say a word. And I can say I have several Tracy Nicole pieces in my wardrobe. They're very comfortable. They're very complimentary to a woman's frame. And any, however your shape is, they're very, very complimentary. And I love them because they're professional, but yet they can also be dressed up very easily. So you could wear something like this to work with the jacket, take the jacket off and go out for an evening on the town. So please make sure that you check out Tracy Nicole Clothing. Like I said, you can go on Instagram, or you can visit the site, which is Tracy Nicole Clothing. That is actually Tracy Nicole modeling the clothes. I love the fact that she is the brand. She's a beautiful woman, and always represents beautifully, but just definitely a woman that believes in womanhood and to support other women. So please, if you get a chance, go and visit the website, and definitely take an opportunity to pick up a piece, get a piece if you see something there. I'm sure you will. That Power line is beautiful, but she has a lot of other. She has casual, she has business casual. She's got like jogging suits and things like that. So there's something for everybody. I promise you'll find something there for you on tracynicole.com.
Edna says I have a fancy gem and jewelry business. Yeah, send us your stuff over to us.
Yeah, definitely.
Send us your information.
Yeah, if you have a Black business you would like us to highlight, make sure that you send it to hello@lenoxandparker.com. Last but not least for today, our inspirational quote from Snap Yourself into a New Reality, under the inspiration of Mark I. Johnson. Today's quote is, "A life well lived is curated in several dimensions simultaneously, in balance across who you are, who you love, what you build, and how and why you live." I think the meaning of this quote is to make sure that you are living a holistic life, that you have balance in every area, from what you do, why you do it, what you are building, what your purpose is, who you are loving, and most importantly, who you are as a person. All of that should be celebrated in your life, and you should be able to see all of that in your life. And so we wish that for you and everyone watching here, even if you're watching later on. If you want to see more from Snap Yourself into a New Reality, you can visit their website. And there's a lot of inspiration there, and even they do life coaching, and different things are available to you on the site. So visit Snap Yourself into a New Reality and let them know that we sent you here on the Reprint.
That was great. That was awesome. Yeah, the Black business of the day. I love that. Modest apparel, fashionable apparel,
Classy, but
yeah, classy.
yeah.
Support our own. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. Well,
What you
Victor,
got? What you got planned?
This is our last Reprint before I am off to vacation with the hubby. Definitely trying to just, I will say, like, relationships is important, that we love on people that are important to us. And I think for me, this is my 5th year of marriage, my second marriage, and I'm definitely determined for this to be my forever person. And so in doing that, I've learned that you've got to take time to really, focus and seed into those relationships. I look forward to being able to just spend some time with my husband. Us work a lot. He's very generous with my time, allows me to really focus on a lot of work. And so it's our time to kind of focus on each other. Both of us are empty nesters. Our little ones are grown. And so although we are still actively parenting, because parenting does not stop, it's a different type of parenting. It's really just more being there as a support system for our children. But the time is now for us to kind of be there for each other. So we're going to take a week off and take a week off. I won't be here at the Reprint. Wow. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back the second week of March. We'll be back with an all new Reprint with more Black business celebrations. We also have a really big National Women's History Month celebration coming up at the end of the month that we're excited about. We're actually going to be posting about it today on social media. So make sure that you are following us on social at Lenox and Parker, and also visit the website, lenoxandparker.com. Go ahead and subscribe so you can be a part of all that we're doing as we try to continue to amplify the voices of the Black community. And we just appreciate those of you that have been tuning in for the Reprint. We hope that you will share this. As we come back in March, we're going to be doing more advertising and we're also adding sports on Friday. We're adding
Yeah.
politics as
Yeah.
well. So, and we're adding
Mm-hmm.
tech. So it's going to be a great all
Yeah.
new reprint with updates on sports, updates on politics, which you guys know you definitely want to be a part of as we move into this
Yes.
preparation for midterms, and then tech also, because that's a very important thing. We also are going to be doing a lot of a travel piece once a month as well. So there's a lot coming with the reprint. So make sure that you are tuned in. And we love you guys for watching. We love to hear your feedback. Even if you just have feedback, you can always send that to hello@lenoxparker.com.
I want to say one before we go. Shout out to Edna and Tammy and everyone that's on the chat, everyone that came in and has been commenting, has been sharing, has been talking to us. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys, and we're a community. Let's keep building. We only build by stronger and stronger by sharing and caring and loving each other. And we appreciate you guys being here. And we look forward to talking to you guys again in 2 weeks or whatever we come back. We just love our community and want to do more for our community. So we thank you. Thank you so much. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. We I think we're gonna look towards like I said, doing some more advertising. So make sure that you share
Yeah.
with your friends and family that we are here with the news from a African American's perspective, making sure that our voices are heard. So you all be safe. I please wish me safety as I head on this trip.
Safe
And
travels. Safe travels.
we will be back on I believe it is, let me get the actual date before we get out of here, that we will be back in March, on March 9th, Monday, March 9th. We'll be back with the reprint presented by Lenox and Parker from Crystal and Victor. Stay safe, be blessed. We love you guys for
Yes.
being a part of our family.
Peace out.